They fired the old janitor for smelling bad, only for satellite images to reveal he was the owner of the entire oil field, shocking everyone. 6 a.m., Lagos. The sky was just turning pale, but the heat already clung like a wet towel. Motorcycle taxis ROA read through streets, vendors fried aka Arabian cakes, their scent tangling with exhaust fumes. Meanwhile, in the glass-walled West African Energy Group headquarters routers, lights had been on for hours, the building a silent beast swallowing dawn's quiet. Adia Izugo shuffled down the hallway, dragging a mop bucket of murky water. His faded blue uniform hung loose, shoes held together by wire. His movements were slow but rhythmic, swish-swish, like some ancient here beat. Then, bang, the executive conference room door flew open. Oluwaseun Adebayo, Market director, stormed out, Italian suit, gold watch glinting. Fresh off a transatlantic call, he scowled, coffee cup in hand. He spotted Adia. You! Again! Oluwaseun recoiled, pinching his nose. God! You reek! Like fish rotting in swamp water mixed with witch doctor herbs. Disgusting. Adia didn't look up. Sorry, sir. Almost done. Done, you should be gone. Oluwaseun kicked the bucket, clang, dirty water soaked Adia's pants, splashed Oluwaseun's shoes. You did that on purpose. No, sir. Adia eyed his drenched legs, voice calm. I'll clean it. As he reached for the mop, HR manager Maria Akpiba stepped off the elevator, file in hand. Adia Izugo. You're terminated. Effective immediately. Security, escort him out. Adia finally lifted his gaze, eyes deep, unreadable. I'll finish this floor. It's my job. Talking back, Oluwaseun sneered. That stench of yours ruins our image. We know what you eat, dried fish, stinking herbs. Savage. Adia said nothing. Just kept mopping, slow and steady, water vanishing under his hands. Maria softened slightly. Adia company policy. Requires hygiene. Your odor. I bathe daily, Adia said quietly. But I'm from Izugo village, Niger Delta. My people bathe in Amala herb water every 7th day, an ancestral rite. To Gwa RD the land. Gwa RD land. Oluwaseun laughed. You scrub toilets. Wherever land is, Gwa writing happens, Adia said, meeting his eyes. Even under your feet. Silence. The old man, usually mute, had spoken. Maria waved. Enough. Final paycheck will come. Abubakar, remove him. Security Chief Abubakar tugged Adia's arm. No resistance. Adia grabbed his freight bag, spa clothes, herbs, cloth-wrapped dried fish, and left. Sunlight gla read off the tower's glass as he stepped outside. He squinted up at it, murmuring, what you can't smell isn't just me. It's the EARTH weeping. Same moment, Accra. In the green INGO office, Allah RMS blah read. Aisha. Look. Tech officer Kojo pointed at his screen, a thermal satellite map from the European Space Agency. The image showed Niger Delta wetlands. At coordinates 4.8 degrees north, 6.2 degrees east, a massive red blob pulsed underground an oil reservoir. 200 million barrels. This array. Aisha Asamoah, Ghanaian ecologist, zoomed in. West African Energy abandoned this last year, claiming no commercial value. Right. And here, Kojo tapped the edge. This patch was never developed. One villager refused to sell. Deed still in his name. Adia Izugo. Aisha stood abruptly. Adia the cleaner in Lagos him. We filmed him 3 months ago handing out herbs on streets, saying they detect soil pollution. We thought it was superstition. Or not. Aisha's eyes sharpened. Asterisk alert Nigeria team, covert recon at Izugo ruins. And publish this map, title it, Forgotten Oilfield, Colonial Ghosts and Ecological Time Bomb. Hope Corner Slum, Lagos outskirts. No water. No power. Kids kick tin cans in mud. Adia's shack, tin roof, plank walls, leaked when it rained. Inside, he lit a kerosene lamp, placed the dried fish before a crude wooden altar or ca red with elder faces. Above it hung a blackened fishbone necklace, his father's dying gift. Kneeling, he whispered, "Father, they threw me out. But they don't know I never left the land." 10 years ago, West African Energy came to Azugo village. 100,000 naira per family. Jobs too. Most signed, moved to resettlement camps, now slums where children coughed constantly. But Adia's father, Chief Azugo Umla, stood at the village gate, cane in hand. "This land holds our ancestors' bones. Fish swim. Birds sing. Earth breathes. Your money can't buy breath." That night, the chief died of a heart attack. His last words to Adia, "Son, land isn't property, it's life. If they force you, say, I smell no money. Only ancestors' breath." Adia never moved. He stayed until bulldozers came, then drifted to Lagos, mopping floors to survive. At dusk, neighbor girl Chino slipped in, clutching a newspaper. "Grandpa Adia. Look." She pointed. "Green eye finds huge oil field. At our village." Adia studied the satellite image. The red fish overlay his family's plot. Chino blinked. "Grandpa, is that Urland?" Silence. Then Adia walked outside, sta ring at Lagos, distant lights, like cold, unblinking eyes. Some things, they think they took. But roots stay if people do. Smell is roots breathing. Wind rustled the tin roof, ca rine hints of fish and herbs. In this city's most ignored corner, an unclean old man gua write a secret that could shake West Africa. The storm was just beginning. The rain hammered down on Hope Corner, turning the tin roof into a drum. Inside the sweltering shack, Adia Izugo sat on a wooden stool, turning a piece of dried fish in his hands, the last river perch his father ever caught. Blackened with age, it still ca right a faint briny scent, mingling with the bitter aroma of herbs piled in the corner. Chino, the 12-year-old girl who'd fled her oil-poisoned village, lay curled on a mattress, flipping through a tattered textbook scavenged from the trash. "Grandpa Adia," she asked suddenly, "why do you smell that fish every day and the herbs? It's really bad." Adia chuckled, the wrinkles around his eyes like dried riverbeds. "Bad? This smell saved my life." He stood, pulling a clay pot from the corner filled with dried amylase leaves, slender and gray-green. Locals called it Earth's nose. He tossed a handful into boiling water. Steam rose, thick with the scent of damp Earth and iron. "This is the Guardian ritual of my Igbo people," Adia murmured. "Every 7th day, we bathe in this water and we are the fishbone talisman. Not superstition, science older than their machines." Chino's eyes widened. "Science like on TV, older. When the herbs turn bitter or foul, it means the Earth is sick. Oil leaks, drills digging too close. The fishbone, if it burns or darkens, the land has a fever." Chino hesitated, then reached for the talisman. The bones were sealed but pulsed faintly in her palm. 10 years ago, Adia said, the ritual water turned black overnight. The next day, West African Energy came. Iwa reneged them. They laughed. 3 days later, the river behind our village was full of dead fish. "You trust Dala Rs. I trust ancestors." At West African Energy, Adia had tried to explain. Once, young engineer Akin had crouched beside his mop bucket, eyeing the floating amylase leaves. "What's this?" "Medicine land monitor," Adia replied. Akin burst out laughing. "Old man, we have sensors for that. Your sensors smell fish dying." Akin walked away, muttering to co-workers, "Crazy." Then came Maria Ikpiba from HR. "Adia, complaints about your odor, see a doctor or use deodorant." "I bathe. But the ritual is duty." Maria frowned. "Duty? You're a janitor, not a priest." "Janitors clean the Earth too," Adia said. "You cover oil stench with perfume, yet call Metardi." Before she could reply, Alyawasian Atabeo Ba ridged in. "Still wasting time. This man belongs in an asylum." Adia stayed silent. To them, Igbo tradition was just backway nest. The land's scars, Niger Delta's truth. Chino unfolded a crumpled newspaper. Niger Delta, oil's curse. 30 Rs. 1,000 spills.
Wetlands gone. Cancer tripled. Dead children. My village too, Chino whispered. The river turned black. Mama said fireflies used to glow at night. Now just mosquitoes that give fever. Adia traced the map to a zone Marquette Ecological Reserve, his family's untouched land. They didn't retake it. The deed is mine. But they've been sneaking drills NEARBY. Just then, footsteps. Abubakar, the security chief who'd escorted Adia out, stepped inside, dripping wet. I brought something. He handed over a yellowed folder, a 1956 land deed, stamped with British colonial seals, listing Izugo clan, Herdite rewrites, 3.2 square kilometers. Beneath it, a family tree, unbroken from great-grandfather to Adia. And this. Abubakar added a printout, the green eye satellite image, the red fish oil reservoir overlapping Adia's coordinates. I checked company files, Abubakar muttered. They tried to fake your signature. Failed. Your land still stands. Adia's hands trembled. Not for money. For fear that even this last clean patch would be swallowed. Land belongs to no one. We're just its keepers. The return at dawn, Adia and Chino Boa ride a rickety bus to the delta. FAR mares crammed the aisle with yams, palm oil, live chickens. Passengers wrinkled noses at Adia's scent but stayed silent. 5 hours later, they trekked through mangrove swamps. Oil-slick trees stood like skeletons, roots drowning in black water. Almost there, Adia said. Then a village emerged. A few collapsed huts, strangled by vines. At its ERT, a massive baobab tree, roots coiled like Guardian serpents. Izugo village, Adia whispered, as if not to wake the ancestors. He knelt, digging beneath the baobab's roots until his fingers struck rusted metal. Inside the box, 19th century scrolls, stories of his great-grandfather resisting colonizers. A stone tablet read with Igbo script, land is cheese home. Defilers face heaven's wrath. Chino gasped. Grandpa, you really a Guardian. Adia nodded. STA routing today, Yulia RN. The herbs. The EARTH's voice. Then rotor blades thundered. A red and white helicopter, West African Energy logo blazing, veered Tawa RD the village. Adia stood, clutching the box, eyes blazing. They're here. Chino gripped his ARM, but so are we. And the land was awake. Adia picked it up, West African Energy Group logo GLA ring. Text called a notice, Izugo village designated National Energy Emergency Zone. All unauthorized persons must evacuate immediately. Violators will face legal action. Chino trembled with rage. How? The deed is yours. Adia stayed calm. He reburied the iron box under the baobab roots, taking only the 1956 deed and satellite photo. We're going back to Lagos. 3 days later, Lagos City Center. Green Eyes press conference lit up screens. A thermal map of the Niger Delta blazed behind Aisha Asamoah, the red fish-shaped oil reservoir circled in bold. This land belongs to a forgotten family, Aisha Dekle read. They're not primitives, they're the last ecological Guardians. What corporations call development is theft and poison. Cameras flashed. The live feed exploded across African social media. Twitter's who owns the oil field trended. A historian posted, Izugo in Igbo means root of ancestors. Legends say they. Gwa RD sacred land. Is the myth real? Attached, a grainy 1890s photo, a feather-crowned chief under a baobab, holding fishbones. Comments erupted, a cleaner with $1 billion oil field lol. Wait, I worked at WAE. There was an Igbo janitor named Adia Izugo. Smelled weird. Holy shit. It's him. Say searches for Adia Izugo plus cleaner spiked. A 3-month-old street interview resurfaced, Adia handing out herbs, saying, the land is sick. I can smell it. Replies flooded in, he's not crazy, he's a prophet. They fired him for smelling bad. Disgusting. Find him. He's a hero. WAE headquarters routers, emergency meeting. Sia Kinjai to Kincube GLA read at his phone. Who leaked the satellite images? The legal director wiped sweat. We checked archives. Adia Izugo never signed the land waiver. Worse, the 1960 digital records confirm his Herdite rewrites ridiculous. Alyawazian slammed the table. A janitor owning an oil field. The man can't afford shoes. Imearia whispered, but the deed's real. And now his herb monitoring is being called indigenous eco-wisdom. Our PR is ruined. A Kinjide smirked. Issue a statement, the land is unregistered state property, seized for national security. Then plant stories say the cleaner is mentally ill, exploiting myths for money. Sir Maria hesitated. He has proof. A Kinjide scoffed. Power turns proof to toilet paper. Hope Corner Shack. Adia sat by kerosene lamp, listening to radio debates about the mystery oilfield owner. Chino shook him excitedly. Grandpa. All Africa is looking for you. They're calling you the forgotten chief. Adia shook his head. I'm no chief. Just a Guardian. Outside, stars blinked. Wind ca ride the scent of fish and herbs through the tin walls, the smell once mocked, now humming like a war drum in the de arcade. The storm had reached the gates. Late at night in Hope Corner, frogs and insects sang outside the tin shack, while Lagos distant lights floated like a starry river. Adia sat on a wooden stool, the kerosene lamp casting flickering shadows on his face. Chino curled on the mattress, her eyes wide and refusing to close. Grandpa Adia, she whispered, your great-grandfather, did he really fight the British? Adia nodded, pulling a yellowed parchment from his bag, a fragment of family history on a ride from the baobab roots. Ca refully unrolling it, he traced the Igbo English text with his finger, his voice low and slow, as if rising from the EARTH itself. Hide the deed beneath the baobab roots. It was 1898, Adia began. The British came in iron ships, guns on their shoulders. They called our wetlands wasteland, said they'd build oil stations, refine black gold. But to us Igbo, this land wasn't empty. It was Chi's home. Every person has a Guardian spirit, and the land is Chi's breath. To Harm the land is to kill the soul. Great-grandfather Izugo was the village's Ozo, the highest elder. He gathered the people and said, ancestors sleep here. Fish swim in the river. Birds sing in the trees. We cannot sell. The colonial officer, William Gray *, a red ba-right fat man, laughed. No signature? Then we'll burn your village. That night, great-grandfather performed the Uriki ritual beneath the baobab, asking the ancestors for guidance. He sacrificed a white goat, sprinkled blood on the roots, and prayed until dawn. At sunrise, he collapsed. When he woke, he said, the ancestors told me, hide the deed beneath the baobab roots. When the fish leaps through fire, truth will rise. Chino held her breath. Fish leaps through fire, what does that mean? Adia pointed to the Igbo mask on the wall, a fish spitting flames. In our legends, oil is the fire fish beneath the EARTH. When it's dug up, leaping like a fish through flames, that's the sign. Then, hidden truths will clear are like morning mist. Great-grandfather buried the deed in an iron box beneath the tree and told the people, remember, land unsold, descendants unbroken. The next day, the soldiers came. Villagers fought back. Gunfire. 3 dead. The village burned. Great-grandfather was arrested, died in prison. Most fled, but a few hid in the swamps and survived. From then on, the Izugo family became landkeepers. Each generation must remember the ancestors' words, Gwa-rd, that land until the fire fish rises. You cover oil's poison with perfume. Chino, enthralled, suddenly asked, then what's the difference between the oil companies now and the British back then? Adia smiled bitterly. New clothes. New guns. New lies. The British called it empty land and now they say clean energy development and economic growth, but the result, he pulled out a glass bottle, black water. From Izugo village, filmed with oil. 10 years ago, this river gave us drinking water. Now touch it, and your skin rots. Flipping open a tattered photo album, he showed Chino images of his father, Clea, our rivers, schools of fish, children playing. Asterisk my father was the best fisherman. He said, fish know the land's health. When fish die, people follow. Then West African energy drilled. Promised zero pollution, 3 months later dead fish floating. Government blamed natural causes, company said climate change, no one listened to us. We went to court. Lawyers asked, where's your proof? I said, I can smell it. Herbs turn black. Fish bone burns. They called me mad. But you know what? Adia's voice dropped. Modern science proved us right. He pointed to Green Eye's satellite image on his phone. See, this red zone thermal imaging shows underground heat exactly where oil pools. Our amala herbs react to heat and toxins. Blackened leaves mean danger underground, just like the satellite shows. Chino gasped. So your superstition is actually science, not science. Wisdom. Adia corrected. Science is your word. We listen to the EARTH, watch the fish. Smell the wind. These things aren't us before machines do. Land belongs to no one. The night deepened. Wind whistled through the shack's cracks like ancestral whispers. Chino asked, Grandpa Adia, if the oil field is really yours, what will you do? Sell it or drill it yourself? Adia was silent a long time. Then he stood, lit a candle before the ancestral shrine, and let the flame illuminate his weathered face. Sell no. He shook his head. This land isn't mine, I'm its keeper, like my father, like my great-grandfather. Land belongs to no one. We're just its children. If I sell, what happens when the money's gone? What will my grandchildren say? Adia sold the land, so can we? Then the whole delta turns to poison. Asterisk my father's last words, son, real wealth isn't oil dug from below. It's yams growing above, fish swimming free, children breathing clean air. He lifted the fishbone talisman, running his thumb over its grooves. This smell isn't foul. It's duty. Memory. Roots. They hate me because I remind them, they mask oil's poison with perfume, but they've forgotten the EARTH's true scent. We are not savages at dawn. Adia took Chino to Lagos University, to meet Professor Ikenna, a 60-year-old Igbo Sholayer who'd studied colonial land records. Yuri Adia Izugo, the professor adjusted his glasses, studying him. I've read about your family. In the 1890s, the Izugos were among the few who refused to sell. Adia laid out the deed in family tree. Professor Ikenna cross-checked them with 1960 digital archives. Adia's name and land coordinates matched perfectly. The evidence is undeniable, the professor murmured. But why? Did no one notice all these years? Because no one listened, Adia said. They called us primitive, backward, ignorant of modern economics, yet their modern economics stole our land, poisoned our rivers, and called us the problem. The professor nodded. Neo-colonialism. The colonizers left, but their logic remains: Africans can't manage resources, so civilized men must do it for them. We managed this land for 300 years, Adia said firmly. No pollution. No famine. Children grew strong. They came for 10 years, river dead, fish gone, people coughing blood. Who's really ignorant? Professor Ikenna bowed his head. Adia, you're no janitor. You're a culture barer.an ecoguerdian, your stench is Africa's living memory. The storm approaches, leaving the university, the sky darkened. Adia's phone buzzed non-stop. Adia the Guerdian was trending across Africa. Comments poured in, we must have sacred mountains stolen by developers. Khoisan water sources dug up for diamonds. Adia, you're not alone. Meanwhile, West African Energy issued a statement, private oilfield claims are false. This is unregistered state land, to be developed for national benefit. Adia showed Chino the screen. Their SCA read. Because truth burns hotter than oil. Chino squeezed his hand. What do we do? Adia looked Tawa RD the Niger Delta, his gaze iron. We go back. Dig up the iron box. Gather everyone who still believes in the land. The fire fish has risen. It's time for the ancestors' prophecy to light the way. 6 a.m., Lagos streets were already buzzing.
Vendors fried aka Arabian cakes, motorcycle taxis weave through traffic, radios blah red weather and stock updates. But today's headlines made the city hold its breath. Breaking, West African energy declare residential Niger Delta disputed land unregistered state property launches national energy security plan for immediate development. The radio host's voice was CL, authoritative, government spokesman confirmed the array was never properly titled. For national energy stability, development cannot wait. Adia sat outside his Hope Corner shack, sipping tea laced with amylase leaves. The bitter scent hung in the air, a quiet rebellion. Chino clutched her phone, pale.
Grandpa, they're saying your land is theirs. No, Adia didn't answer.
Just blew on his tea. The SMEAR campaign by noon, major news sites ran identical articles, janitor claims oilfield ownership.
Experts question mental state.
An anonymous psychologist was quoted, long-term exposure to cleaning chemicals and decay may cause olfactory hallucinations and delusions.
His herb land monitoring aligns with schizophrenia.
The piece featured a deer-keen photo of Adia handing out herbs, captioned, alleged vagrant. Another article dismissed the 1956 deed as likely forged, colonial records were chaotic, and this land never completed modern titling.
At the bottom, WAE's Sia Kinjida Kincube Declare read, we sympathize with our former employee, but his claims lack merit.
Our projects meet strict environmental RDS, benefiting all Nigerians.
Comments flooded in likely bots, a janitor playing chief delusional. This ancestor nonsense holds Africa back. Develop the land. No more superstition. Adia's counterattack, return to Azugo, they drown truth in lies, Adia told Chino.
But we have something righter than lies, facts. He contacted Aisha from Green Eye, and through Professor Ikena, gathered student volunteers, law, geography, journalism majors. Armed with cameras, GPS HAR, and notebooks, they sneaked back to Azugo village at dawn. The mangroves were serene, egrets wading through shallows. But NEAR the village, WAE trucks idled, men in government surveyor vests measured land, erecting temporary fences. They move fast, Aisha muttered. Adia stepped four-way road. Do you have legal permits? A sunglasses we a ringman turned.
Who are you? This is a state development zone. Adia Izugo. Legal heir to this land. Adia pulled out the deed copy. Issued in 1956, still on file at the Lands Bureau. The man scoffed. That paper's dead. This is Nigeria now.
Land belongs to the people, managed by the government.
Then show us the notices, public hearings, environmental impact reports, snapped Nadia, the law student.
Or this is illegal encroachment.
The man's face twitched. Get lost, crazies. The truck sped off, leaving dust swirling. The iron box under the baobab. They'll be back, Aisha said. We need irrefutable proof. Adia led them to the giant baobab. They dug for an hour beneath its roots until the iron box emerged. Inside, centuries-old lineage scrolls. A stone tablet with Igbo warnings. A wax-sealed 1985 letter from Adia's father. My son, if outsiders force this land, do not fight alone. Take this box to those who wield modern law. Make the world hear us. Remember, land does not speak, but we can. The group fell silent. Nadia photographed everything. Then geography student Kojo gasped. Look. He pulled up a government land registry app, entered the deed's ID, and there it was, owner, Adia Izugo. Title, Hereditary Freehold. Status, active. It's real, Kojo whispered. Never revoked. Aisha grinned. Modern tech just verified a centuries-old truth. Green Eye's global livestream that night, Green Eye broadcast live from the baobab tree. Aisha held up the deed scan, satellite maps, herb testing videos, villager testimonies. This is no myth, she read. This is one family's 100 year stand against colonial theft and corporate greed. She played a split screen, 1950s Azugo, lush trees, clean river, children fishing. 2025 satellite, neighboring lands SCA read by oil rigs, blackened rivers except Azugo's untouched plot. Why is this patch clean? Because one old man monitored it, with herbs and fish bones, they mocked his stench,
but that smell it's an ecological rm a cultural memory. Africa's living wisdom.
Viewers skyrocketed past 1 million. Comments exploded, Adia, you're a hero. We Maasai will defend Ngorongoro too. WAE, where's your conscience? Panic in Abuja presidential villa, emergency meeting. Energy Minister, this is global now. BBC, AFP picked it up. International pressures building. Justice Minister, problem is, the deed exists, forced seizure could trigger a constitutional crisis. Plus, with Green Eye backing him, this could be another Shell Nigeria scandal. The president finally spoke. What does he want? So FAR just to Gwa RD the land, but if he forms a curative, STARTS community-led development, then we lose control. And hundreds of other cases will follow. The president nodded. Then he can't win. But it must look legal. Adia's Choice Post livestream, Adia sat beneath the baobab, STA ring at the STARS. Chino asked, what now? Court. Adia nodded. Time for the law. Not for me, for all stolen lands. He reread his father's letter, make the world hear us. Wind rustled the leaves, like ancestors whispering yes. Far off, Lagos glittered. But here, in this forgotten swamp, a quiet revolution was growing. One baobab tree. One iron box of proof. One smelly old man. And the world was finally listening. The dome of Lagos High Court gleamed pale in the morning light, like a silent giant eye watching the city. Outside, reporters SWA Ahmed, cameras trained on every entrance. Today's case, Adia Izugo versus West African Energy Group and Federal Republic of Nigeria, a battle for land rights. Chino clutched Adia's hand, trembling. Grandpa, so many cameras. Adia wore his only clean shirt, a faded janitor's uniform, sleeves frayed. No suit, no tie. His tattered backpack held the iron box, deed, fishbone talisman, and amale leaves. Don't fear R, he murmured. Today, I don't walk alone. The arrogance of power inside, the air was thick. WAE's legal team, Shaw RP suits, gold-rimmed glasses, piled files onto their table. Lead counsel Ademola Ogundipe, Nigeria's top corporate lawyer, $3 billion AR cases won, smirked as he flipped pages. Beside him, Land Bureau Director Danjuma, stiff-backed, whispered, focus on unregistered land reverts to state, no talk of ancestors or herbs, it's nonsense. At the plaintiff's table, Adia, alone. No attorney. Professor Ikenna and Aisha from Green Eye sat in the front row. Volunteers like Nadia live-streamed on phones. Judge Ifeoma Okoro entered, 50s, eyes like scalpels, nicknamed the Iron Lady for her fairness. This case concerns public interest in land rights, she began. Plaintiff claims Herdadere freehold over 3.2 square kilometers in Niger Delta. Defendants dispute this. Plaintiff, proceed. My stench is ancestors' breath. Adia stood slowly. The courtroom hushed. Your Honor, his voice low but clear. I'm no lawyer or chief. Just a janitor who swept floors for 20 years. Snickers from the gallery. Ogundipe rolled his eyes. I swept to watch who stole our land. My smell fish, herbs, got me fired for office disruption. He paused, placing the dried fish and talisman on the table. This scent isn't filth. It's the Igbo Gwardian ritual. Every 7th day, I bathe in amala water, we are this fishbone. Herbs blacken if land's poisoned, bones burn if drills NEAR. Gasps. Journalists scribbled madly. In 2015, herbs turned black. 3 days later, WAE drilled a secret well. Fish died. Cops ignored me. They called me mad. He turned to Ogundipe. You say it's delusions, then explain, why does Green Eye satellite thermal imaging match my herbs warnings exactly? Ogundipe stiffened, flipping papers. Adia raised the deed. This 1956 colonial grant is still in Nigeria's 1960 digital archives. Owner, Adia Izugo. Status, active. Asterisk. His voice rose. You claim unregistered state land. It was registered. You know, you just pretend not to. Silence. My stench is ancestors' breath, what land's pulse. You mask oil's poison with perfume, yet call Medardi. I stand here not for money, but for dignity and African's right to his land.
the gallery erupted in applause.
Aisha and Ikena wiped TRS. The defense's lies Ogundipe stood, adjusting his tie. Your Honor, plaintiff served science as myth, not law. His deed is archaic, and failure to modernize registration voids his claim. He presented a document. State surveys label this unclaimed wasteland subject to National Land Act seizure for energy security. Danjuma added, plaintiff is homeless, unfit to manage such resources. Granting him ownership risks chaos. Evidence versus greed. Plaintiff, present evidence. Judge Okoro ordered. Nadia stepped up, playing satellite comparisons. Izugo land in 1950s, pristine, versus 2025, surroundings ruined by oil. Herb experiment, Amalale's blackening and polluted water, just as Adia described. Elder testimonies, villagers recalling Adia's father Gwa writing the land. Land registry screenshots, official 1960 records listing Adia as owner. Defense, your rebuttal. Ogundipe handed a psychiatric report claiming Adia had delusional memory disorder. Judge Okoro scanned it. Issued by a WAE-linked clinic. Rejected for conflict of interest. Land isn't property, it's life. In closing, Adia stood again. Your Honor, they call me homeless, say I can't manage land. Yet. For 10 years, I kept it clean, no spills, no deforestation. Their developed lands, rivers black, children sick. They say Nigeria needs oil, but where does the money go? Slums. Dirty water. National wealth can't be built on people's pain. I don't seek sole ownership. I propose the Izugo Eco-Parative. Villagers shall reap profits, fund schools, clinics, land healing. Blend tradition with tech, for sustainability. He lifted the fishbone. Asterisk, this isn't just a chai RM. It reminds me, land isn't property. It's life. We're not owners. We're its children. The courtroom froze. Even Ogundipe looked down. The verdict, EARTH's echo. 7 days later, the ruling came. Plaintiff Adia Izugo's deed, archives, and testimonies form an unbroken chain. His heredité rewrites stand. Defendant's state seizure claim fails. WAE and government, cease all activities immediately. News exploded. Adia 1 trended worldwide. Igbo elders restored Adia's Ozo chieftaincy title. UN Environment Program hailed it, a win for indigenous wisdom and modern law. Adia he just returned to his shack, lit a kerosene lamp, and placed the judgment before his ancestors' shrine. Chino asked, what now? Adia gazed out at the rain-washed sky, stars glittering. Now, he whispered, the real Gwa writing begins. 7 days after the verdict, the baobab tree in Izugu village buzzed with voices. No bulldozers. No government surveyors. Just people, reporters from Lagos, villagers from across the Niger Delta, professors, activists, even Igbo elders in traditional robes, gathered under the tree, watching the old man in the faded shirt sketch plans in the dirt with a stick. Adia Izugo, who just won $1 billion lawsuit, still looked like any other villager. Friends, he said softly, and the crowd hushed. We kept the land. Now, what next? Reporters leaned in, expecting him to announce an oil company, instant riches. But Adia said, not revenge. Rebirth. Not for sale, for healing. Some ask, Adia, you won? Sell the land. Get rich. He shook his head. This land isn't for sale. It's ancestors' breath. Children's future. He pointed to the wetlands. 10 years ago, we fished here. Now, rivers nearby black, only our patch still lives. Why? Because my father, my great-grandfather, they Gwared at it. But Gwa writing isn't enough. We must make it breathe again. Bring back fish. Bring back birds. He announced the Izugu Ecological Imperative, a villager-run, transparent group with 3 goals: small-scale drilling, 1 low-impact well at the edge, max 500,000 barrels/year. 70% profits fund eco-repair, schools, clinics. 30% to families as guardianship fees. Wetland sanctuary, core zone off-limits forever. Replant mangroves. Restock fish. Land Guardians Academy, teach youth herbs, soil lore, drone. Monitoring the tradition plus tech. No cannonball mining like foreign companies, Adia said. We do acupuncture development, prick lightly, take a drop, don't kill the body. The cola nut test. Not everyone agreed. On day 3, MBA Azugo, Adia's cousin, arrived with a megaphone, suited up like a city businessman. Adia's old. He doesn't understand modern money. This oil field could make us rich. Build refineries. Sell high. Some young villagers wavered. MBA's right. We've been poor forever. Adia didn't argue. He called 4 Igbo elders for the cola nut ceremony, a traditional conflict resolution. The ritual began. Adia split a cola nut, Sha ring pieces. Eat this, speak truth. Elder, how shall Azuga land be used? MBA shouted, full drilling. Foreign investors. Money for all. Adia replied, limited drilling. Money fades, land destroyed, grandchildren suffer. Elder asked MBA, who controls profits? MBA hesitated. The company decides. Which company? West African Energy offered. The crowd erupted. Them again, they killed our fish. Elder turned to Adia, your curative, who handles money. Adia pulled out a transparency ledger draft, monthly public reports. Villagers vote on spending, schools, clinics, clean water. Every kobo accounted for. The elder nodded. Who speaks wisely? A fisherman stood. I trust Adia. Higwa ride land 10 rs, took no money. MBA just came back already selling us out. MBA flushed, finally mumbled, I was wrong. I just wanted us rich. Adia clasped his shoulder. We all want wealth. But clean wealth. The first BA and offering 3 months later, Azuga transformed, mud paths became stone lanes. A Ayurved stone at the village entrance read, land is cheese home. Guardians endure. The Land Guardians Academy opened, kids Leah Renette herbs, pH tests, satellite mapping. Wetlands revived. 5,000 native fish released, herons nesting again. And the oil well, no steel monstrosity, just a quiet, green painted pump, camouflaged in mangroves. The first BA of crude wasn't sold. At the restored ancestral shrine, Adia poured it into a clay pot etched with fish and flame motifs. This oil is land's blood, he told the village. We take it not to waste, but to heal this BA for ancestors. For the future. As he buried the pot, he whispered, let oil return to EARTH. The House of Smell. A new building rose east of the village, tin roof, wooden walls, solar lights. Its sign, the House of Smell. Adia's library held no novels or textbooks, but a hand-drawn umla herb guides villagers' oral histories on tape. 1950s photo satellite maps. The comparative's open ledger. This isn't knowledge, Adia told Chino. It's memory. When you're an engineer, don't forget how your grandfather saw land with his nose. Chino grinned, I'll use drones and herbs. Echoes in Lagos. Back at WAE headquarters routers, the mood was grim. Aluazian got demoted. Maria Ikpiba quit. The new C emailed, begging to partner. Adia returned the letter with a note, we don't partner. We watch. The ripple spread across Africa, Kenya, Maasai herders blocked developers at Ngorongoro, holding Adia for Africa signs. South Africa, Khoisan tribes use ancient water maps to fight diamond miners. Ghana, Green Eye trains 100 youth in Guardian tech, tradition plus satellites. Adia's name became a symbol, not of wealth, but dignity. True cleaning at dusk, Adia sat alone under the baobab, rubbing his fishbone talisman. Chino ran up, breathless. Grandpa. The academy's drones saw baby fish in the river. Adia smiled, wrinkles like riverbeds in sunlight. Here that he whispered. The land is breathing. Wind rustled the mangroves, ca rhying sense. Of wet soil, herbs, and that faint, once mocked fishy smell. No longer a ma-rk of shamed, now, proof of rebirth. A Guardian's oath. Africa's wounded EARTH, after a century of pain, finally breathing again. 6 months after the Azugu ecological imperative launched, the village thrived. Mud paths became stone walkways. Kids skipped to the Land Guardians Academy, backpacks bouncing. Wetlands teemed with egrets. The first oil well hummed smoothly. Financial reports were posted monthly. Town halls packed with engaged villagers. But beneath the calm, trouble brewed. The cut mangrove. One dawn, Adia found a slashed red mangrove in the sanctuary. On the stump, a crude ro ca vedtawa rd the oil well. NEARBY, tire tracks from heavy machinery. Someone wants sabotage, he muttered. Worst division within the comparative. At the village store, young men huddled, grumbling our monthly shari ba rely buys. Salt. MBA was right to sell to a big company. Cash out. Their leader, Emeka, Adia's nephew, who'd worked in Lagos. He stood at the next town hall, fiery, uncle, this eco-healing is slow. Oils for money. We gua ride land for 100 ya rs, still poor. When do we win? Murmurs of agreement. Adia didn't snap. He fetched the co-op ledger, flipping pages last month, 2.8 million naira income. 70% clean water pipes, irrigation. 30% dividends. Each household got 12,000. Next year yam harvests double, water bills halved. But that's peanuts. Emeka shouted. Sell to WAE 100 million upfront. Instant mansions. Then what? Adia asked. Money spent. Land poisoned. Kids drink sludge. Who fixes that? Silence. The betrayal. Then came real danger. One night, Shino spotted a stranger filming the oil well. She tailed him to a secret meet with MBA, who took a thick envelope. MBA's a traitor, she told Adia. Adia stayed quiet. Next day, he called another cola nut ceremony. Under oath, he asked MBA, did WA pay you to sabotage us? Promise you village chief if you destroy the house of smell. MBA stammered. Adia showed Chino's photos. MBA cracked. They said the co-op keeps us back. Way RD, I just wanted progress, the elders groaned. Villagers hissed. MBA fled in shame. Adia didn't exile him. Instead, he announced, we form a Guardian patrol. Villagers take shifts monitoring land with drones, night vision. Hey R. Emeka stepped forward. RD, uncle. I was wrong. I'll Gua road. The wind still ca ride that scent, curbs, fish, earth. A reminder of the rightest fight isn't against thieves outside. It's against greed within. And true Gua riding at starts with choosing, again and again, to remember. In Kenya's Masai Mara, Warrior Chief Alalakwa held up a cracked phone, playing Adia's courtroom speech. Behind him, hundreds of Masai warriors circled a fenced-off conservation area. Really, a land grab by developers. We're not primitives. Alalakwa ROA read. We're Guardians. If Adia won, we can too. In Cape Town, the Khoisan Elders Council dusted off century-old water maps, marking drained underground rivers stolen by mining firms. Adia used herbs to track poison, an elder woman said, TRS in her eyes. We use ancestral songs to remember springs. It's time to sing them louder. At Green IHQ in Ghana, Aisha Asamoah launched the Guardians program, training 100 youths from different tribes to blend traditional knowledge with tech drones to map deforestation. Apps to log plant cycles. Oral histories as living archives. Adia taught us, Aisha said, Africa's wisdom isn't in textbooks. It's in elders' stories. In the smell of the soil. Just breathe. When Adia spoke at the UN Environment Assembly in Nairobi, the world expected fury, a speech raging against colonialism, greed, injustice. Instead, he said one word: breathe. Friends, he began softly, do you smell the air exhaust? Plastic. AC fumes. But in my village, there's another scent, fish, herbs, earth. City folk call it stink. I call it the land breathing. He showed a satellite image, the Niger Delta's red fish oil field, now ringed by green protected zones. We take oil like drawing blood, ca refully. Profits don't vanish into pockets. They heal, clean water, schools, replanted mangroves. People ask, can this work elsewhere? Adia scanned the room. Masai sacred hills. Khoisan water veins. Congo's rainforests. Every inch of Africa has Guardians, people who know bird calls, wind shifts, which grass means poison. This knowledge isn't backway road. It should shape laws, guide satellites, build futures. Silence. Then thunderous applause. Back in Izugu, the Land Guardians Academy welcomed its first out-of-town students, Leah running to merge herbal warnings with soil sensors. A Ghanaian trainee used Adia's methods to expose illegal dumping in his hometown river, stopping a toxic spill. Chino,
now bound for Lagos University's environmental engineering program, hugged Adia goodbye. He handed her a handwritten Umla herb guide. Machines break.
Data corrupts. But memory that stays in your bones.
The House of Smell became a pilgrimage site. Cholet RS studied oral histories. Journalists documented the revival. Kids gathered to hear ancestors' tales. Adia still walked the land daily, past mangroves, the oil well, the Clea Creek. When ca ride that once mocked stench across free air. No longer a ma arche of shame.
Now, proof of EARTH's rebirth. The sweetest smell of all.
The rainy season had turned Ezugu village into an emerald jewel. Mangroves stretched for miles.
Egrets waited. Through crystal clear streams. BA refood kids chased minnows between rocks.
Even the oil pump painted green, camouflaged like a giant insect, swayed gently in the distance, almost pa-rt of the scenery. Under the baobab tree, Adia Ezugo sat rubbing his blackened fishbone talisman. Thinner, frilier, but his eyes still sharp like the deep, unpolluted pond behind the village. Grandpa Adia.
Chino's voice rang out.
She wore a university blazer, laptop bag slung over her shoulder, trailed by young Resee urchers.
New data. 17 more bird species in the wetlands. Fish survival rates doubled. Adia smiled, wrinkles softening. Here that the land breathing right.
Then a black sedan rolled into the village. Out stepped WAE's new C. Akinjide Akinkube, Aluwazian's former deputy, now the man in charge. Suit crisp, gift box in hand, he looked uneasy.
He'd seen the headlines. Ezugu model, Africa's blueprint for sustainable development. Adia wins UN champion of the EARTH Awa RDWAE stock crashes amid pollution scandals. He bowed deeply under the baobab. Mr. Ezugo, I'm here to apologize. We were wrong. Adia nodded. Silent. Akinjide swallowed.
We want to Leah RN, adopt your model.
Fix the damage we've done.
Adia stood, walked into the House of Smell, and returned with a cup of tea, yellowish, floating with amole leaves. Drink, he said. Akinjide took it. The scent hit him first, fish oil, bitter herbs, something earthy. His stomach lurched. But he sipped. Bitter. Then a surprising sweetness, like rain on fresh soil. His eyes watered.
This tastes like hope. Adia smiled. Now you can smell it too.
At sunset, gold light spilled over wetlands, oil pumps, the schoolhouse. Adia stood at the village edge, gazing at the land he'd ride for a lifetime. Chino joined him.
Grandpa, after graduation, I'm coming back. Building a real eco-center. Good. Adia murmured.
Remember, true cleaning isn't sweeping floors.
It's letting the EARTH breathe.
Wind swept the grasslands, ca-rying sense of soil, herbs, and that faint, once mocked fishy tang. No longer a ma arche of shame.
Now a banner of dignity. An echo of culture. Africa's spine, straightened at last. Its deepest, sweetest breath.